On this episode of Nerds Talking the Podcast, the nerds talk to John David, the author of the Morgalla Chronicles, and they cover Star Wars versus Star Trek, and much more on this episode of Nerds Talking the Podcast. Now start the show.
Nerds Talking, the podcast.
Yo, we talk about lightsabers, stunning your TV screens, what you want to stream, everything beyond your dreams. Want to talk about movies, sports, or even politics? Go ahead and tune into us, we'll give you all of it. Whatever you're debating, Xbox or PlayStation, Marvel or DC, Mac or PC. Teraflops when the movie drops, gigabytes, chips, RAM, no matter what it is, we got all of it. Welcome to the show.
Nerds Talking, the podcast. Welcome to Nerds Talking, the podcast. I'm here with Carlos, Johnny, Laura, and John. Wait a second. I already said Johnny. Who's John? John, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm John David, author of the Morgalla Chronicles.
What is
Morgalla. So far, I got one book and two books out right now, and more to come. I got two more to come, so it's pretty exciting. I'm all the way from Michigan.
All right, all the way from Michigan. We got a Michiganer. What do you guys call yourself? Michigander. Like Gander over there. So you write novels, not graphic novels.
No, correct. I write novels. I do dabble with drawing, but I wasn't good enough to convert it into a graphic novel. But it would have been cool. Yeah. So I'm a fantasy author. Sorry to be disappointing. Sorry to disappoint.
No, you disappoint me. I mean, Laura's the avid reader here. She probably has questions like. Go ahead, give a question. You have one. I know you do.
I mean, I legit have questions. So
yeah, go
John,
for it.
What is your writing process like? I dabble in writing, as in to say I'm shit at it. I think, oh, that's a great idea, and then I start writing, and then
well,
done.
I mean, let's be honest, Laura. Okay. Facebook comments aren't writing, but go ahead.
No, I mean legit writing. What is your process, John?
Well, first of all, I think every writer does have that issue to where they're like, says, I'm a genius. Oh my God, I just came up with a brilliant idea. Someone already did it. Oh, crap. It's just, that happened to me actually quite a bit, to which, hey guys, what do you think of this idea? Yeah, that movie, they did that like 20 years ago. In this movie, I'm like, oh, damn. And just, my writing process is that when inspiration hits, you got to take advantage of it, even if it's like at 2 a.m. and I get an idea that I think is brilliant, but someone has already done. Bummer. Oh well. What are you gonna do? But yeah, just when inspiration hits, you gotta take advantage of that.
So are you? And this is going to get in kind of the more the nitty gritty of writing. So are you like a whole first drafter? You know what I mean? Like you put the whole idea down, and then you go back through the whole thing and then flesh it out / edit it out, or do you work segment by segment?
Again, it is more for me. It is more just when the inspiration hits me, I go for it. I usually go through the entire manuscript. Okay. If I do get an idea, sometimes I have to go back. Oh, you know what? I thought of a great line, or you know what? I thought of a better idea here. So I go back to it, but I usually go to write out the entire thing, and then I leave it alone. I put it away, and I don't even think of it. I'll go back and I kind of edit it a little bit, but it's going to go through a professional editor before publication for sure. But I'm going to go through it, and I'm going to read through it, and maybe even come up with some better ideas, or just think, wow, this is too much. Get rid of that. Because you really need to keep it at bare bones. If you get too wordy, people don't like it. I think we've all read a book that was too long.
Lafayette, have you ever read a book?
Oh yeah, no. I declare when a book ends.
The instructions to like your Xbox, like that was just too
I don't
long.
even get. You know what?
That's not a book.
Okay.
That's a manual.
Well, it started as a book. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. No, I read a manual script the other day. It was great. It was about the Xbox and how to hook it up in HDMI. John, what is the Morgalla Chronicles about?
In essence, if I can sum it up, all 4 books in one sentence, it is an alien invasion story where one of the aliens happens to be on our side. Basically, except for the aliens are coming from the realm of hell. So they're not coming from space. They're coming from another dimension. Yeah, imagine if we got invaded by Mordor in modern times.
Okay. I want to ask you, what idea have you come up with that you figured, damn it, this has been done, but you figured out like you were already way into it? Has that ever happened to you? Or like, that's so good?
Sadly, yes. Like I said before, the one example that comes to mind? Have any of you seen the movie? What was it? Dracula 2000.
Yes.
I was with Gerard Butler. And the thing is that I came up with an idea like over 10 years ago. I had never seen Dracula 2000, but I came up with an idea over 10 years ago to where the first vampire in history was Judas. Yes, Judas. That's why he can't look at the cross, because he betrayed Jesus. And because, silver, because he betrayed him for silver. That's why he has the vampires have the allergy to silver, into which I'm like, yeah, this is a great idea. And I tell my friends, they're like, oh, dude, they already did that in this movie.
What? Yeah, John Carpenter, right? Is that a John Carpenter movie? I think
it was a John Carpenter movie, and that is a really great.
Oh, the premise is phenomenal.
Yeah, that is a really great premise. So, I mean, good for you for arriving to it, right? But just
but sadly,
a little bit late.
A little bit late. And
I mean, I'm pretty sure you could write it better than that movie.
Fair.
Maybe.
Because the premise was amazing. I mean, he can't die because he has to live with the sin his whole life of what he did. Like, that's kind of like, so he always has that on his mind, or his guilty conscience. And movie sucked. But
there are plenty of great concepts that Hollywood really dropped the ball with. And what are you gonna do? I don't blame certain authors for not wanting to deal with Hollywood at all. It says, hey, this is my baby here. We'll offer you $1 million. I don't care. I mean, I'm living comfortably. You guys could really mess this up. You could really make it dumb and just.
I don't know. For $1 million, I'm like, yeah, make it dumb.
Yeah, like I think
give me that money.
If you ask me between paydays, I'm like, well, yeah, okay. It's starring William Hung. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Just make the check out to.
It's always an Asian guy. Oh, I know.
No, he's the lead. He would be the lead.
William Hung is the lead. Wow. What is it called? She bangs? What's going on here? I mean, have you thought about writing scripts, or is that something that you're like, it's not really what I'm into? I'm more like want to do full detailed stories.
I like doing full detailed stories. Scripts are like blueprints. Or writing blueprints. I did enter a script writing contest many years ago. Didn't win, obviously, but it was a script competition. It says, "Hey, I got this short story. Yeah, I'll convert it into a script and all that." And while I'm writing it, it was very, there was no finesse to it. There was no pizzazz. There was no. It felt like I was, imagine Bob Ross painting one of his happy little paintings. And then you ask Bob Ross, hey, we want you to paint our bedroom. Would he be happy doing that? Painting the bedroom, it will be a top-notch job, but it's just one color and just, it's kind of utilitarian, that sort of deal. Like I said, a script, I've read a couple of scripts just for inspiration to see how they were done. And it feels like blueprints. I mean, this does work for what they need, but I'm not enjoying it.
Because it comes alive with the actors, right? And their choices and how they choose to do it. And that's the beauty of a script. But when you're truly writing a novel or a fiction, you get to tell the reader, this is exactly how this person is feeling. This is how they are saying that. And this is the world they're surrounded with. It's a very different animal.
Show, don't tell.
Exactly.
All right, John, as an author, what is your opinion? We talked about this before, but audiobooks, does that count as reading a book?
Yes. Absolutely.
Laura, did you hear that, Laura? Did you pick that up on your headphone?
From an actual author
that
wrote actual novels.
To which I'd like to point out my second book, Diary of a Lonely Demon, is now on audiobook.
Damn.
Oh, you should get that, Laura. Probably a good listen.
Do you do the audio?
The narration? Or
I do not. Someone with a far cooler voice than me does.
Impossible.
Yes.
Okay. So when someone says, I read this, are you going in with the assumption like, oh, you actually read it like words on a page, or like, oh, it could have been either, and either one is equally
Either you read the words on the page or you listen to someone read the words on the page. It's apples and oranges. Either way, you're eating something healthy.
Hey, you know what?
No, I agree.
Yeah. Mhm,
I do.
mhm,
I
mhm.
do agree with that. But if somebody said I read it and then later in the conversation they're like, well, I listened to it on an audiobook, are you like, well, did you read it? You listened to it, which is still good. Don't get me wrong, because I like to listen to things. I listen to podcasts. I do listen to audiobooks. I know everyone on the call from our side thinks that I'm against audiobooks. I'm not against them. They're just not the same as reading. So, John, do you feel that same way when someone says, I read it, and then later in the conversation, oh, I listened to it? Are you like, did you read it? You listened to it?
I still consider them reading
Same
it.
thing. Okay.
Because, well, first of all, where did you get the audio recording? Did you buy it?
Yes.
Same thing.
Audible.
Same thing. You bought it on Audible or you bought a physical copy off of Amazon. Doesn't matter to me. You read my work. There you go. Or you read somebody else's work. If we're talking about somebody else, that still counts as reading the author's work. I say, you know the words, you know the dialogue, you know the characters, you know the beginning, middle, and end. You know, you can tell. I'm more concerned about. Well, prove to me that you actually read it. What happens at the end of the Hunger Games?
Did you read it?
I read the Hunger. Yeah. What?
Or did you consume it?
Consume it.
Bookie, come on.
You know what? No, let this go.
Okay, all right. I'm
Let
gonna
this
drop
go.
it. I'm gonna drop it.
Let this go. 'Cause
You're
it's the same-
projecting your opinion.
I
I know. I'm
Look
gonna
at
drop
you.
it.
Unbelievable. We didn't expect this out of you.
But I agree with John.
Actually,
It's
we
like
did.
he
No, we
said,
did, yeah.
somebody read it
Uh-huh.
to you. So
Uh-huh.
they're reading it. You're just listening. That's like if you read your child a book in bed, right? And they said, oh, I know the story. Oh, but mommy read it to me, so it doesn't count. Right? Is that the same thing? Or
Well, to have your child say I'm an avid reader would be kind of stretching.
That would be amazing, to be honest with you.
Bingo.
It's like,
So-
Father, I already read this as you walked in
My
the room.
3-year-old does not know how to read, but she
Really?
listens to me read her stories.
But
how many
needs to
book
catch
clubs
up.
is she a part of?
None.
Yeah. Oprah's.
Oh, right.
see
Okay.
Bookie, I can be honest when I put on my Match.com profile that I'm an avid reader, and then the next one is going to be hiking. Like I've seen videos of people hiking, so I'm going to stretch it a little bit just to broaden my horizons.
Not even that. In the morning, you put on the news and you kind of let it play in the background. Man, I read on the news this morning, fellas. Like, what? You read the news this morning? Oh, yeah. All caught up.
When's the last time you read a newspaper?
Verb, reading.
Yeah.
They indicate words, page, eyes,
Thinking,
then listen.
like exactly, like putting it all together.
We all end up at the same destination.
That's
Bookie.
right. So if I'm having a conversation with you about
You're right.
about a Dukes of Hazzard novel, which I hope they make soon, and you read the whole thing, but I listened to it, we have. Oh man, that part was great. That part, and at the end you go, wait a second, did you read it or listen to it? I'm like, oh, I listened to it, but yet you and I know everything equally about it. What's your take? Are you going to be like, we're not friends no more, you illiterate bastard?
No, I just feel like using the word read, you misrepresented yourself. We both consumed it. We can have a great conversation about it. I have listened to books.
Well, you're judgmental.
I listen to books.
Yep, you hate the blind.
You were
Just
so
a
judgy.
smidge. I am a smidge.
Wait, the blind?
But they're
Does
all
a smidge
books
hate
that
the
I have
blind?
listened to and not read.
Wow, someone there hates the blind. Interesting.
All right.
Well, at least the blind can listen to the podcast. So I like the
I'm
blind. Good job, John. Thank you for coming on because we needed to just get her on that one. She's always
Hey, John, when
harping
can we
on it.
expect The Shadow of Hell? Is that the third book?
Oh, I was going to say, is this something that's actually coming? Like, how does John know the revelations?
I'm not privy. They haven't told me as to when the next book is going to come out. I'm hoping next year. But yeah, it will be called The Shadow of Hell. It'll be continuing Morgalla's epic adventure on Earth.
So have you finished all 4 books and you're just
Yes,
waiting
I
for the
have.
publisher? Oh, okay.
That is correct. And I think it was part of the selling point to which they figured that, hey, you know what? We don't have to wait. We don't have to wait. Keep sending this guy deadlines. Hey, is your book done yet? Actually, yes. All 4 of them are done right there. There you go. So go ahead and edit them, and I'll go back to them and all that.
So what got you into writing? Was just that you're a big sci-fi guy? You kind of wanted to create your own worlds and whatnot.
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, ever since Star Wars, I would say Star Trek had an influence too. Just storytelling, creating these worlds, creating fantastical characters, going on amazing adventures, or having fantastic things happen to them. It just taking a look, and we could all think of something that we were just blown away by. Wow, someone came up with that idea. That's amazing. And just I wanted a little slice of our pop culture, little slice of the pop culture pie.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that one.
All right, John. So you don't have to tell me how much money you made, because I know some people get a little weird about it. You could just write it down, fold it on a piece of paper, and just pass it.
Slide it over.
Or do you like get money per book sold? Like I know with Lafayette, like when I bought his album, iTunes cut him a check for like 10 cents.
Uh-huh.
And I want that money back. I want that 10 cents. I feel like you don't deserve
I'll give you 9. I'm gonna give you 9.
Okay. I'll take what I can get because I didn't get a good album. So
you did buy the leftovers one, sorry.
Oh, that was my bad. So do you get money per book sold? Do you
Yes.
Oh, nice. And do you like do autograph sessions and travel and do a book tour and whatnot?
Whenever I can. I do have obligations that prevent me from doing some things, doing as many book events as I'd like to. Recently had a really awesome book event, and I was there with 30 other authors. We all know each other. We all go to the same support groups. It was pretty successful. I sold 12 books, made 12 new fans, so it was pretty awesome.
Nice. And do you have any crazy fan stories yet? Any stalkers? Any proposals?
That's very funny that you should say that.
Really?
At one point, I was self-published. Actually, I did not have a publisher. I was self-publishing my work, and I did have a fan who turned to the dark side, or should I say, she was always part of the dark side, and she decided to show it to me. And for the next 7 years, she decided to destroy my career. And at one point, she had a Facebook page, a live journal, and a website all devoted to how much I suck.
Oh,
damn.
I had no idea I was going to touch on this type of subject. Sorry about that.
It had like 3 followers, right? Like nobody was paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yay, nay? Were people looking at it?
People looking at her stuff?
Yeah.
I don't know. I really wasn't paying that much attention to it. A buddy of mine was screen capturing everything for me because I really didn't want to look at it anyway.
Yeah.
But he was screen capturing everything. He was recording all of her YouTube videos and just
Jesus.
Yeah, she had a YouTube page. Okay, welcome back. Here's why John sucks and you shouldn't read his work.
Well, you're in for a surprise because she's our next guest.
Bring her on. I'd like to see her.
Did you get a restraining order or anything like that?
How she didn't win.
Oh.
Good for you. Fuck you, whoever this crazy bitch is. Sorry, I'm putting it out there. Don't be hating on creators.
Well, if you don't like somebody's work, go ahead. But we all have an opinion as to what obsession is. How far do you go? If you don't like somebody's work, don't read it. Thank you for reading, at least.
Was she hating you because you rejected her in some way, or did she just pick you out as an enemy?
No comment.
Understand.
Right.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
What did she mail you is what I'm wondering.
A bunny head. But really, John, I think that's honestly one of the highest forms of compliment, right? Like if you've got haters,
stalking.
Legit. Like if you have haters
and then murder, that's the top level. That's it.
To get someone's ire at that rate, that means that you've made an impact of some kind. I know it doesn't feel great, but as an outsider who looks in, to me, I would be like, hey, if someone hates me enough to dedicate a fucking live journal and YouTube video, sure, they're unstable, but it's about me.
Really? So you step out and you're getting ready for work. You leave the front door. 4 tires slashed on your car. I can't get to it. All right, she was here.
He didn't say that she slashed tires.
This is true. If she wasn't stupid, she did not, push any boundaries and step over any lines that where I needed to get the cops involved. But believe me, had she done, the hammer of justice would have fallen in a heartbeat. So yeah, if my four tires were slashed in the morning, well, let's go back to the videotape. I have a big camera right there. Hey, there.
What you're saying is that you carry a hammer with the word justice on the side of it. That's how what's going on. So, John, what's next? What's after these 4 books? Are you working on something else, or you're just gonna rest for a bit? What's going on?
I'm gonna rest for a bit for sure. I really hope that somebody picks up. Years ago, if Hollywood came calling, knocking on my door, I would have been jumping for joy. But Hollywood, as we all know, hasn't exactly been doing very well. I don't think. They've been very unoriginal. They've been giving us a lot of crap. They've been giving us some gems. There are a couple of diamonds in the rough there, but they're few and far between. They should really be giving us fantastical stuff, and unfortunately not. But yeah, sad. I'm definitely going to take a rest, and hopefully a couple of ideas knocking around in my head will get polished.
All right. So just to see where you're coming from, what kind of gems are we talking about? What kind of movies do you love? Maybe a top 3, any category you just pick.
Oh, well, none of them came out. Well, are we just talking about like maybe movies of all time, or just like the last few years? Since that's kind of what I said about.
Yeah, let's start with that. Last few years. What are some that you just were just amazed by?
Well, the only good Star Wars film that has come out, I think, is Rogue One.
Yes.
I was actually pretty impressed with Rogue One. I was pleasantly surprised by it. It had a good amount of nostalgia, but it didn't rely on nostalgia. It had some pretty cool characters.
Mm-hmm.
I really did like it. The parts that I didn't like, I wish they didn't use Tarkin so much, because that's just creepy, using CGI for dead actors.
Yeah.
Just have them, if you're going to have them be in it for literally 1 minute, have it be like a hologram type deal, and that's it. That's it. Let's focus on everything else, because everything else was really great. So I was impressed by that. Let's see. I was actually very impressed with Mary Poppins Returns too. I just recently saw that for the first time, and I wish I had seen that in the theater, because I was pretty impressed by that. Bohemian Rhapsody was also a good film. It took some artistic liberties, but the thing is that when the film is produced by the surviving members of Queen, and they have a say as to what is shown and what isn't shown. Yeah, let's show the people that night where we got totally wasted on this tour. It's just, let's focus more on the music.
Right.
And yeah, so I was pretty impressed with that movie too. So those are 3 that come to mind that have been pretty good.
Okay. What about the superhero genre? Are you into that at all?
I have been. I am more impressed with the superhero films that don't feel like superhero films. From what I've seen with Blue Beetle, let's talk about Blue Beetle for a moment, because it's the latest one. When I'm looking at it, it feels like a Disney produced. It feels like the movie Sky High, if you remember that movie, and just how
I do remember that movie.
Yeah, it kind of feels like just a really a superhero-esque film. And when you take a look at the best films that are based off of comic books, they're films that don't look or feel like they're based off of comic books. Like, you take a look at the Dark Knight trilogy. You take a look at even Watchmen. I was really impressed with Watchmen. I thought that was a pretty good adaptation. I really liked the look of it and how loyal it was to the source material. And the worst comic book films are the ones that just don't take it seriously at all. I mean, sure, have some humor, have some fun with it, but just these movies, they're giving us, they're crapping, they're goofies. Well, that's what the people want, don't they? No, not really. I mean, humor is great, but getting super, you've gone a little over the edge there. We've seen hardly any good superhero films over the past few years since Endgame.
Right. So in your book, Morgalla, is that the lead character? That's the quote unquote alien to help out Earth?
Yeah, that's the lead character. That's her name.
Can you describe Morgalla?
Well, imagine if you grew up and one day you discovered that your species is responsible for the death and subjugation of billions of different people across many different worlds. And just what would your reaction be, first of all, that you found out that, oh my God, I belong to a monster race?
Mm-hmm.
And part of it is she feels as if I can't do anything. I really can't. It's tough enough just surviving in this world. And I introduce you to this world as to how difficult it is to survive in demon culture. But it's also her story about trying to find herself and her journey on making friends, finding love, the meaning of true love in all its forms. And I'm not just talking about romantic love. I'm talking about all the kinds of different kinds of love.
Well, physically though, what does Morgalla? Is she a part of a certain species, or is it just like demons? Like what's the name of her race? I guess
she's a demon.
Okay, so what does a demon look like in your eyes or in your book?
Many different. They come in many different styles and shapes. But for the most part, when you think of a demon, it's mostly red type of skin, horns, pointed ears, that sort of deal.
Yeah.
There are many different kinds of species of demons amongst hell. There's an aristocrat race. There's the grunt race. There's the lower race who are trash. She really doesn't belong to any of those. Without spoiling, I don't want to spoil things, but she finds out certain things about herself that make her different from everyone. So she's a woman trapped between two worlds, the human world and the demon world, and she's really not accepted in either. She really can't show her true self in either world, and that's her problem. But she slowly finds a way to adapt, and and she finds out about acceptance, which is the meaning of true love.
All right. So I know you said you wouldn't do a Hollywood film, but I'm sure you've kicked it around in your head where who could play Morgalla?
I think Morgalla should be animated.
Okay.
Hands down. I have been a huge fan of animation my entire life. I was a huge fan of all the classic Disney films. The Disney Renaissance was great, but I was a big fan of anime before that became popular. I remember Project Echo and Robotech back in the 80s. And just these were all awesome. And how, whoa, wait a minute. People are dying in this cartoon. What the heck? You mean people can die in cartoons? And my brother's like, heck yeah, people can die in cartoons. Take a look. Check this out. And it was pretty awesome as to how even animation can tackle mature matters, mature subjects, whether it be about death or love or violence or, you name it. Animation can also tackle it. Then Batman the Animated Series came out, bringing in adult and kid audiences and giving us mature scripts for the most part. And just, wow, this is all awesome. And seeing as if animation there have been some really successful animated films and they're not as expensive as they were before, and we can get really high quality, I think Morgalla should be animated. I would love to see her get turned into an animated series.
A whole series, yeah, that'd be interesting. All your books are audio so far?
Just Diary of a Lonely Demon.
Oh, that's the first one.
For starters, that's technically the first one to where the Savage Peak is a prequel. Savage Peak is kind of like her introduction to hell.
Gotcha.
That's how she kind of discovers what she really is. And oh crap, how do I deal with this?
Gotcha. Sounds good. I checked those out. We'll be back here with John after the break here on Nerds Talking, the podcast.
Hey everybody, this is Gerald from the Video Game Podcast. And here's my buddy Mike.
Hey, how you doing, man?
We talk video games.
That's right.
Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation, what's coming out, what's new, old school, Genesis, Nintendo 64. Don't forget about
Sega Dreamcast, Sega Saturn, and of course, Super Nintendo.
We also tell you why video games are lame and how you're a loser for playing them, especially into your 40s.
Loser.
What is wrong with you? Get a job, get a life. Play with your kids. Go outside. Get a hobby. Maybe go out and kill some squirrels and then stuff them and put them on top of your fireplace. I do that. It's kind of fun. You should do it too. There's so much more to life. Like Nerds Talking the Podcast. New episodes every Friday. Where you find your podcast. Nerds Talking the Podcast. We're listening to it right now because this ain't even real. That's right. Back to the show.
Welcome back to Nerds Talking the Podcast. I'm here with Johnny, Carlos, Laura, John, and I'm Lafayette. Remember to rate, subscribe, review, turn on notifications every Tuesday and Friday. New episodes of Nerds Talking the Podcast. Before we went to break, Laura had a question for John. We're all waiting.
So my question is, being a male writing female characters, or specifically your female main character, how do you approach that? Because I find me from writing for male characters a little bit harder. So I usually tend to take a female perspective. So how do you approach that?
Well, first of all, Morgalla, I had been criticized, to which I point out to some of the critics who say that Morgalla doesn't sound like a woman. You mean she doesn't sound like a Western woman? Because she's not a Western woman. She did not grow up in America. I do end up having a couple of Western female characters. So there. But the thing is that I invented Morgalla in 1995 when I was in college. And I was thinking, hey, you know what? We really don't see many female characters, do we? So I decided to make her a female. Because at the time we didn't see too many, but we actually did see a lot if you really dug deep into anime and comics and fantasy. But when it comes to writing when your main protagonist is a woman, I really only thought of the fact that, well, she is an individual with hopes, fears, dreams, her own skills, her own strength, her own weaknesses. And by the way, she happens to be a woman. That was my attitude going into it, just trying to make her an individual first, and maybe adding certain elements to it that made her feminine. It's a delicate balance for sure. But that was my attitude about it. And I had plenty of lady friends who also read this, and they gave me their opinions. And I took them to heart, and I did make one or two changes based on what they said. But for the most part, they gave it a thumbs up. Yeah, I thought she was great.
That's awesome. I mean, taking feedback, I feel like is the number one hallmark of a person who is interested in what realism is. I mean, fantasy is obviously a little bit outside of reality, but the core, like you said, hopes and dreams and fears, that is what makes characters real. And so I think it's great for you to take feedback from people, but generally the thumbs up and then making those small tweaks here and there that makes them seem more real, I think is fantastic. So I'm sorry, I kind of derailed. I know we were going to jump into another topic that
no, that's a good question.
I wanted to have answered.
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
It was my pleasure to answer it.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Because that is a good question to ask perspective wise. You have a lead female character written by a male, and some people will be like, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
I thought J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter pretty darn well.
You're absolutely right.
Wouldn't know. Never read it.
I'm reading Potter, to which
movie's great.
With girls too. Oh.
To be fair, though, in some of the later books, I'm like, when they talk about like, I thought about Ginny and there was like a dragon in my heart. I'm like, is that what a 6-year-old boy feels? Is it a dragon in your heart? I think
she was keeping it PG. Be nice now. She was keeping it PG.
I mean, a 6-year-old boy and dragons. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
that's 6.
Those go together.
Dragon in my heart.
Oh, he said 16.
Snake in my pants.
16.
Oh well, he also, they also believe.
I got a
magic,
basilisk in his cloaks. They gotta be unleashed.
That's right.
All right.
You are horrible. A serpent in his pants. All right, we're gonna jump into our topic here, which is Carlos and Johnny. They collaborated on this topic, and they're like, we feel so good about this one.
Yeah, and nobody's ever discussed this before.
And no one's ever discussed this before. We are original. Oh my god, this is like when you wrote something and you're like, this is fantastic. 2 years later, son of a bitch, somebody figured this out already. This is Carlos phrased the question.
Who would win in an intergalactic battle between the universe of Star Trek versus the universe of Star Wars? Now, I think this may be an original topic only because most people always try to say who's better, Star Wars or Star Trek. But I want to know who would win in an intergalactic war.
Okay, I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first off, I think that's who would win. But who would specifically be involved? You're talking about everybody in the Star Trek universe, everybody in the Star Wars.
I'm talking about the New Republic versus the Federation.
Just the New Republic. I was about to say that, Star Wars has death rays. They have death rays that can destroy planets. But the New Republic probably wouldn't use them because they're good guys. But, they have that level of technology to where we can blow up your planet. So it's simple. So if we can blow up your planet, we can blow up your Starfleet. There's also the fact that Jedi, we have Jedi. We have the Force. Well, we have the Borg over here. Okay, well, that's great. But, I have the Force. Borg and nothing to the Force. I don't know about that. So I say Star Wars. They got the edge. They got more of the they have wars in their title. So perhaps that could also be their an edge that they have.
But they don't have the Vulcan death grip. So
I have opinions. Can I chime in?
Oh, wait a second. You have an opinion? You want to talk about
talk
about a men's that run the show? Go ahead, women.
Come on, Lord. Show me that dragon in your heart.
Yeah, show.
The dragon in my heart is always on Star Trek because I am a bigger fan of Star Trek than I am of Star Wars. My fandom was created later in life. I could give a shit about Star Trek or Star Wars when I was in my teens, but when I was in my 20s, that's when I was introduced to really both. And
Chris Pine.
Star Trek, no, it was the Next Generation TV show, and that's when it really stole my heart. On a more just like tactical level, I really feel like Star Trek would take the cake, and that is level of organization, levels of military and protocol and all those things and strategy that Star Trek has way more than Star Wars. And to be fair, in the Star Wars universe, it's more guerrilla, right? It's David versus Goliath. It's a little bit more hodgepodge, but might usually takes the cake. Whether that's right or not, might usually takes it. And I feel like Star Trek is going to get it. And it's more that sense of like realism. I think that Trek lives more in the human condition than Star Wars does.
Johnny?
All right. So I'm going to say cool wise, Star Wars, hands down, all those things, the Force, good and evil, battle between the two. I think Laura's right. I think the military tactic, the organization, like, you can't really use the Force in an intergalactic battle. And
wait, what?
You can't use the Force in an intergalactic battle.
So you're assuming this is just all spaceships versus spaceships?
It's both. War is everything.
I mean, exactly. Not only that, but like stormtroopers can't shoot for shit.
But stormtroopers aren't part of this. I thought it was only the good guys.
Were trained I thought it was like New Republic. Cobra.
Yeah, it's only the new guys. Which the new guys can't shoot for shit either. But the good guys, I mean, the Jedi get on one of the Star Trek ships, and how are they going to stop them with their little phaser guns?
You beam their ass out into space is what you do.
You can't just beam anybody you want, though.
Yeah, you can. As long as you can track them and find them, you can beam them up and beam them to a different location.
Scotty can do anything. He can beam his
ass. I
ass
don't know about that.
Into the sun.
But that is an upside for Star Trek. Also, they can beam themselves onto, other ships.
That's right, other ships.
Yeah, that is an upside because they can just plant a bomb and beam themselves off and be like, boom, see ya. Boom.
Infiltration.
Like, yeah, that is true. That's some dirty ass Taliban shit.
And Star Wars or Star Trek, I'm sorry. I mean, they have disruptors. I mean, they're not allowed to be used by the Federation, but war is war, right? There's a little off the books, off the Geneva Convention usage of disruptors. It's very possible.
I think they still follow Geneva Convention that far ahead in the future.
I do think in space they use the Geneva Convention. Yeah. They never let that go.
I mean,
far in the future.
References to 20th century Earth in Star Trek, so I'm gonna assume it's somewhere in there.
I mean, you're talking about dirty tactics. We think Star Trek. We don't think dirty tactics. We think by the book. Don't do that. That's not how we do things around here. Yeah.
You know
what? I got another advantage for Star Trek. All the medical treatment that you need in the size of a cell phone. In the palm of your hand. You can cure anything with that little stupid
device.
But you see, I think that's what makes Star Wars a little bit cooler is that everything seems a little more realistic. When you take a look at the interior of the Millennium Falcon, wow, that looks like it could actually run. The thing that really turned me away from Star Trek later on is all the godlike technology. To which, no problem, just fix that, just like that. Holodecks, we can create wherever we want. Transporters, we can transport wherever the hell we want. Let's see a little bit of realism. Let's see some limitations to this technology, and let's see human beings or aliens, whoever the heck that is, or droids, overcome these issues.
See that point?
Yeah,
I do, because to me it always fit because again it's in this like framework of bureaucracy, right? Of a world governed, so it feels very orderly and everything is in its place. Where you're right, Star Wars is a little bit more chaotic and anarchistic. You have all these planets that are very far flung, that are essentially you're living in like the Wild West. There's not a lot in the Federation that feels Wild Westy. Like they've either been colonized or they haven't. And yeah, I see your point there, but I still think bureaucracy, man, it crushes a lot of things.
Okay. It's about rules and regs too.
I noticed that
Star Trek is not a surprise that she would pick.
Right?
I am not about rules. I fucking hate rules.
I don't know about that.
Don't know me.
Books on tape.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're breaking rules.
It's my own personal code. Chaotic, neutral.
I mean, when you take all these things to account, now you make Star Wars look bad because I instantly thought Star Wars, no matter what. I mean, Star Wars wins. I mean,
why?
There's just
give us your case.
It's all like the faster like X-wing fighters that they don't have in Star Trek. That these big ass, what is Enterprise type of ships can't keep up with, and all that type of technology and all the different ships Star Wars has. All types of different ships and destroyers and so on and so forth. And all we ever really know about Star Trek is you have Enterprise. Like you have those type of ships. Like that's what you got. You got a
Enterprise
space station, Deep
warship.
Space Nine that doesn't move, and you got it's not a warship.
Enterprise
exactly.
Is it's a space
not a warship.
Exploration, but they have warships.
But they don't have Star Wars ships.
My exploration machine has torpedoes.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it really has.
A few.
Put
photon torpedoes.
Photon torpedoes and the shield. Oh, the shield's down. The shield is down, Captain. Always over and over.
That's when you call your buddies in and bring in their warbirds.
Bring in their who what?
Klingons and the warbirds.
Oh, you can't. The Klingons, you can't call them in.
The Star Trek.
Yeah,
they're a part of the Federation.
Damn straight they are.
They're stupid. Yeah.
The everything's better constructed too. Like I don't remember ever seeing like
Star Trek or Star Wars.
Star Trek, because I don't recall any porthole like 3 meters wide. I mean, the size of a womp rat that can blow up the whole thing. So
that is true. That's the flaw, right?
Well, they explain why that is.
Right in Rogue One, right? Like he designed it
that way
to flip off the Empire, basically.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's now it's a tougher one because I assume the Jedi can just kind of do everything. I mean, didn't we see Vader like move a whole entire ship, or was that Batman versus Vader, the YouTube video? Just which was badass.
I mean, still, I'm not going to change my opinion on this. Star Wars, way cooler.
Okay, you're in Star Wars.
One-on-one space battle. I'm going to go with Star Trek.
So Star Trek gets one vote.
Somebody did. One of you stated how the Jedi were helpless during space battles and whatnot. But hey, what if you had a Jedi and name your most powerful Jedi or even a Sith, talking to the captain of a Starfleet vessel, to which you will lower your shields. I will lower the shields. And just, what if he can perform a Jedi mind trick here?
That's when I guess they teleport onto that ship, Jedi in the back of the neck, and kill him. And man, damn Star Trek sneaky bastards! They're dirty. Now that I think about it, those dirty fuckers. God damn, I never trust Data. He's just
yeah. If there's an android on the ship, you can't Jedi mind trick that shit.
Yeah,
can Data be Jedi mind tricked?
No,
you can still use the Force against an android.
Yeah, Jedi power is literally endless. It's
limitless.
You can do anything.
Did you weigh in on this?
Yep.
Did you give a?
He hasn't given.
Didn't you hear me? Was you not listening to what I was saying?
He said Star Trek.
Nobody ever listens to what I say, but I said Star Trek would win this thing.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I've been
part of the reason is
quite a bit.
Like Star Trek, not Star Trek, but Star Wars. No matter what series you watch or what movie is on, everything looks so primitive. Everything never seems to evolve. Even now on the new Ahsoka series, there's the Republic are still wearing those goofy ass white helmets that are super big. Like, I'm like, dude, how many years has it passed since you've had those? Don't you have any clothing designers that can, spruce that up a bit? The military.
There's no Hugo Boss in Nazi Germany that's in the background.
Here's the thing.
No, I don't like this. We need to redo it.
And the guy that orders it, he ordered way too many.
He's like,
we're not ordering more. Okay, guys.
So we get rid of these.
We gotta churn through this shit.
You don't know what's inside the helmets either. This could be lunch. It could be like extra clothes, bullets,
air conditioning, blowing
air
down.
conditioning.
I mean, he forecasted, the budget, and he was like, sorry, guys, with the users till they're gone. That's it. How long? Let's see. We got the Ahsoka series. We got Boba Fett. We got a lot. So you
guys find anything? We ain't found shit.
So, John, what did you think of The Mandalorian? I know you said you liked Rogue One, which I agree was good. What did you think of The Mandalorian?
It started off okay, but then it ended up being crap.
In what, the second season, or?
I'd say right after we saw CGI Luke. Right after that, it went right downhill. I say it had so much potential. Holy crap! And it just
it's going back to like the throwback of like, oh, we got to connect it to the full circle. We got to bring back the old faces that you already know. I feel that.
But that's Star Wars' flaw is right there. I mean, that's why Zack Snyder said, "Thank God I didn't make a Star Wars," because I'd have to just repeat the same regurgitated crap that they'd want me to. Oh, make sure you just keep rehashing the old shit over and over because that's the way the fans love it. And he was like, you know what? I'll make my movie at Netflix where I can do what the hell I want to do. And they also didn't want to make it because Zack Snyder said, my Star Wars has a lot of sex, violence, and potty mouth words. And like, ooh, can't have that. But can you put Han Solo in there? He's like, what? But you're right about Star Wars. That's the problem. That's the flaw with Star Wars. But then again, Star Trek has the same flaw too. We're going to see the same rehashed characters. Oh, here comes the Borg, and here comes this and that. And if you know Star Trek, then you're gonna get it fed right back to you over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Star Wars flaw. I mean,
that's just Hollywood's flaw, right? Just too lacks the courage to go take that left turn.
Well, yeah, but I think it's also when fans get the repeated regurgitation, but it keeps making money and it keeps, fans are like, I want to see more of the same. That's all it is. A lot of people want to see more of the same. And Ahsoka's cool. I've watched so far the first, 3 episodes, but it just feels like more of the same. Like a little more of the same. Cool.
Episode 3 was so goofy.
But it just feels like more of the same.
Was Lizzo in it?
Oh, that's right. She was in.
She was
in The
Mandalorian with Jack Black.
Yeah.
That's right. I
Think they had any bananas on set? I hope not.
So in conclusion, it seems like we have more Star Trek than Star Wars. It seems like Johnny's Star Trek, Carlos is Star Trek, Laura is Star Trek, John is Star Wars. And it's crazy because when you think about it, you're right. I think it might be Star Trek.
But I mean, if you ask me which one I like better, it's going to be Star Wars.
No one's
going to say
no one's going to say Star Trek. No one likes Star Trek more than Star Wars.
Only the dumbest.
Only like
yeah, that's me raising my hands.
The one that's organized.
I
hate Star Wars. They're not organized.
I'm not a rules and regulation person, but I am very organized.
You like Rogue One? What'd you think of Solo, John?
It was okay. I mean, it's not the worst thing that it's not the worst Star Wars movie ever made. It's not even the worst of Disney Star Wars. That still belongs to The Last Jedi. But it did have its moments. It kind of sort of it only sort of felt like a Star Wars movie. And maybe that was the point.
It was just a lot of fun. Solo. Yeah, you're right about Last Jedi. Put that shit in the trash. Redo it.
For the longest time, I really had to think about it. Which is the worst Star Wars movie? Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, or The Last Jedi? To which I really simplified it. With Attack of the Clones, at least George Lucas wanted to make a good movie. He failed miserably, but he wanted to make a good movie. To where The Last Jedi wanted to be bad. It wanted to take everything that we loved about Star Wars and crap on it, and just it was the harshness of the filmmakers, right? Especially with Rian Johnson. Let's completely destroy the Star Wars hero, Luke Skywalker. I have no problem with passing the torch to a new generation. I got no problem with that. I also don't have a problem with you killing off Luke Skywalker. Just don't destroy the man's legacy.
And do you see? There it is, people. There
Absolutely
it is.
Absolutely right. Rian Johnson is a piece of shit.
It's Ryan Johnson. Not
Ryan Johnson. Sorry, Ryan Johnson. You're right. That said Ryan Johnson last time.
Or Rain, or whatever the hell he says. Star Trek people and Star Wars fans, they really just want the same thing fed to them over and over, just in a different paint color. You know, that's all. And if you mess with it, you're like, what'd you do that for? Because again, beloved characters. You can't mess with it, the legacy of what we're used to. We grew up with. Like, why would you do that? I was the same way. Like, what the hell did you do to Luke? Like, you ruined him.
In defense of humanity.
Of humanity? Wow, this is going to be really good.
You speak. I know you're not speaking for me. I know you're not.
Yeah, don't speak for me. But go ahead.
We seek comfort. We seek the familiar, right? So, you know, you want to experience the things that you like just in a new way. So I really do. I understand Hollywood's inclination to keep treading over old ground because people like what's familiar. They like comfort. That's why we have comfort shows, right? That's why we keep watching the same shit, the same movies, the same TV shows over and over and over again, because we like what is familiar, and you just want to repackage it just enough that we could rake in those dollars.
Exactly.
And the fans enjoy it.
That is true, but that's not what we got with The Last Jedi. I mean, they crapped on Luke.
They crapped on everything.
If they followed your formula, Luke would have showed up, kicked butt, used his lightsaber and all that. Everyone would have been totally happy. And I would have been happy too. It would have been nice to see him as the master, teaching a new generation of Jedi and all that. But instead, we got crap.
We got crap. And you can't do that. That's the thing. Star Wars is the type of franchise you can't do that. You got to just give fan service. Just give them fan service. That's it. They're gonna lock the theater if you just give them fan. When you killed Han Solo, what's wrong with you people? God damn it! Because the kid has daddy issues.
Had a hand in that.
Who?
Harrison Ford. I think he.
Harrison Ford.
One of the conditions of him coming back is that, are you going to kill me off?
Like, he wanted to tap out.
I've read that. Episode. Yeah.
Like, tap out, please. I'm done with this. I want to go make a 80-year-old geriatric Jones, Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Can we talk about Harrison Ford, about how he's such a dickhead? Can we? No, we can't talk about that.
Maybe some other time, okay?
All right.
He's not cool. Not cool. We'll talk about it later. All right. There you go. All right, John, let's get people a plug for your book, info you want to give them, and where they can find your book. I'm assuming everywhere, website, and so forth.
There we go. You can just look up hashtag Morgalla, Morgalla. You'll find her on all the major social media, including I'm now on TikTok. Holy crap, I'm finally now on TikTok. I have some some young people assisting me with that. So there we go. But Morgalla.net, you can find everything there. And, I've been making new fans. Welcome. And I really appreciate it. And thanks for having me on tonight.
Yeah, no problem. John, thanks for joining us. Before we go, does anybody have any questions for John? Anything left that you might have on your plate? No, as Laura strokes her cat.
How cute is this cat?
That's okay. You know what, John? You have to answer that.
All right, that's our show.
No. She asked the question. John now has to answer it.
I'm more of a dog person.
Ayo. That is our show right there. Wow. Thanks for listening, everyone, to Nerds Talking the podcast. Just yeah, your dog. Your cat's like a 4, I guess. That's messed up. So, all right. For Johnny.
See ya.
Yeah. For Carlos.
Bye-bye.
For Laura.
Bye.
For John.
Bye. Take it easy.
And I'm Lafayette. Thanks for tuning in. Nerds Talking the podcast. We'll catch you next time.
Man, all right. I should really download and subscribe.
Yeah, that'd be good. All right, here we go.